motherfuckers that are actually doing the triggering. So what you want to do is show this and make it be known that, hey, this whole thing is corruption. See, power, complete power, total power equals total corruption. And the motherfuckers that have all the power are the ones that do the corrupting. They make the laws, they break the laws, and then what they do is hold other motherfuckers accountable for the laws that they're breaking. But in other words, it's that don't do as I do, do as I say.
Law enforcement. And I started to understand once I joined a lot of the problems that a lot of the people from the community don't understand. You know, they don't understand the dynamics of how the culture of law enforcement works. It's an entity designed to protect its own by all means, period. And that includes the bad ones.
Yeah. Mr. Yinny Ye. Willie Bo. Rest in peace. I killed my little cousin Willie while he sleep in the car. While they take him from his family, he was seeking the stars. Police brutality, they took it too far. 50 or more bullets somehow whittled his core. 25 hit him, this time justice gon' get him. That's why some brothers arm up and blow with him. Vallejo PD can pay, we ain't screaming the will. Racist pigs in the chair and have them screaming to death. It was cold-blooded murder like a firing squad. Serve and protect what you lie to us for. I'm nervous when you stop me, put the lights on my core. I don't know if you gon' pop me, it's just my wife in my car. Black and you don't like me, put a knife in my car. Spray mace in my eyes and hit my wife in the jaw. If you proud to be black, put your fist in the air. It's time to fight back, put the system in gear. 911, I should be calling my dog. They some real street hogs, just like all of y'all. It's bound to be a brawl, somebody getting mauled. Holding court in the streets cause you got badges and cars.
Everything in this world has a time, can you handle it? Handle it. If you look to the Lord, He'll make your way. He'll make you way.
He'll make a way.
Everything in this world has a time, can you handle it?
Welcome. This is another segment of the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole podcast here on the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole Media Network. I am your host, David D. Harrison, along with my cousin, Corey McCoy.
Together, we speak the unspoken on police misconduct and provide a platform for impacted families to share their truth. How deep does the rabbit hole go?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it, cousin. When we last left off, we were speaking about the special prosecutor, Michael Ramos, that made the decision to clear the 6 officers of any wrongdoing in the murder of our loved one, Willie McCoy, back on February 9th of 2019. We're gonna get back yet, but we do and wanna let the people know that coming up here real soon, February 9th, 2021, it's a Tuesday. It will be the second anniversary of the murder of Willie McCoy at the hands of 6 Vallejo police officers. We will be at the state capitol in Sacramento, cousin, with some demands for whoever is going to be the next attorney general. One of the demands is that that person immediately come into the city of Vallejo for an immediate civil rights investigation into the police misconduct, as well as the what we consider corruption at the city management levels, as well as the district attorney. So we want to continue to promote that and let people know that anyone interested in supporting our cause can go to the website of McCoyFoundation.com and please donate. We're trying to collect donations so we can fight this fight with other families that have endured police murder and lost loved ones. So, cousin, let's take it back to Michael Ramos just a couple weeks ago. As we previously stated, I think it was a gut punch, but it was a gut punch that the family definitely expected. Would you not say?
Yeah, it was expected, but it was still a gut-wrenching blow to myself as well as you. You know, we pondered on that afterwards, even though we knew that was going to come down. Most people don't know that when in this type of fight, when you get to this particular position in this type of fight, they usually deny the prosecutor police officer at this level of the game. But what really intrigued me was the fact that Ramos is able to be the outside prosecutor when he has baggage that he's running from in San Bernardino County, and who gave Krishna Abrams the right to pick the outside prosecutor when she, is admittedly having a conflict of interest where she can't do her job to prosecute.
Absolutely. And, I think to speak on Michael Ramos, the former district attorney, prosecutor of San Bernardino County, I believe he was last officially in that post back in 2018. What I find really funny about that selection, even though it was coming from Krishna Abrams, and we know her biased opinion about prosecuting police, what I find interesting is that you can literally just punch in Michael Ramos, prosecutor, and you will find information will just pop up about a questionable past. For one,
really not the person that we would have expected to be brought in with his checkered past and his background, because his background, it was that there's nothing transparent about, about him doing this job. He wasn't the pick. I mean,
as well as the
San Bernardino County,
as well as the character issues, cousin. I know when you pop his name in, some of the things that come up immediately are several, not one, but several documented accusations over the years of him working in the district attorney's office of sexual misconduct behavior towards women within the department. There was a lot of notes of that throughout his time in the district attorney's office. And I think the other thing that stood out that was very striking was in 2018, a judge in a case involving police misconduct had to basically sanction Mr. Ramos for destroying evidence in a case.
So there you have it. First of all, we understand why this was Krishna Abrams' pick, because she's known to be a badge bunny in the circles, in the policing circles in Solano County. And so because she's unbiased to police prosecution, she brings in somebody that is pro that has a checkered past. And, and that everybody knows that behind that blue line, there's a favor for a favor ship type of thing going on. These people are a part of an ongoing criminal conspiracy, and this needs to be also known.
Absolutely, cousin. Cousin, do you mind really fast if we go ahead and acknowledge last weekend was the anniversary of one of our Vallejo fallen sons, Angel Ramos. His life was taken back in 2017 at the hands of Vallejo police. And we want to just stand our warm love and condolences out to the family, to his mother Anise, to his sisters, Antoinette and Alicia, to his brother Dante, and the rest of their family and friends, and let them know that they're in our prayers and thoughts. And Angel Ramos will never be forgotten.
Rest in power, Angel, and may peace be unto the family, that they have some type of peace during this time, because they've been fighting for a long time. And I remember very, very strongly, like yesterday, when we went through the tragedy, cousin, with little Willie, and
Alicia Ramos.
Almost the first on the line to start getting people aware about what had happened to Willie. And man, that isn't so endearing that they have become part of our family as well.
Absolutely.
What they did to Angel, dealing with the VPD, the Fatal 14, with going through this badge bending era that we just experienced. Angel was another one who was an unarmed minority who was gunned down. And justice has been served in that case either.
And I think it's I also think that it's key to mention that the officer that murdered Angel, Dustin, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Dustin Joseph, but I can't recall the officer's name that murdered Angel, but he is a member of the Fatal 14, cousin.
He is.
Yes.
A lot of people are going to find this out, that, and I think that this is why this case is taking so long, and there's so many hang-ups, many
Zach Jacobson. I'm sorry, it just came to me, the name of the officer that murdered Angel. Zach Jacobson, member of the Fatal 14.
Okay, just to go back, it's just we just shining the light now on badge bending in the Fatal 14, and him being one of the officers. What is his name? Jacobson.
Jacobson, yes.
He was a member of the Fatal 14 as well, and there's a lot of cases of people who are now even not murdered but doing time for crimes that were probably they hadn't committed a crime and were just unjustly imprisoned by the Fatal 14 on trumped up charges. These are things that need to be investigated and looked into, instead of being just set up for a media play to dismiss the charges, deeming this to be something that's just a primary thing that they do. And this is what they do. They always deny in the first. So a lot of people got worked up because they denied prosecuting an officer in Willie's case. And it's just so apparent. People are looking at the evidence in front of them, the video, and looking at that. It's just, they can't deny it. But anyway, our time is running a little short, and we're going to have to take a moment to get away. Secrets of the Rabbit Hole podcast with me and my cousin Corey McCoy. And if you'd like to leave a donation, please do that at the WillieMcCoyFoundation.com. And if you'd like to leave us a message or an email, you can do that at truth@thesecretsoftherabbithole.com.
I also realize, right, when we say there is no such thing as a good officer, we're rating our viewpoint as being a good officer as telling on another officer, right? I have stopped officers from being excessively aggressive with individuals because I know how it felt. So, case in point, I got behind a stolen car. The subject jumped out. The subject ran. I chased him. Now I'm calling on the radio for assistance. So I caught the subject 3 blocks away. Subject gave up. So I put cuffs on and I'm walking him back. So the arriving units, they respond to the scene and they started punching this guy. So now I pulled the guy back. I was like, what are you doing? He's in handcuffs. And they was like, yo, we got to tune him up. I was like, what are you talking about? Now, you got to remember, this is shortly after I graduated. So I'm still going on what I've been taught, policy, procedures, when to apply force, when not to apply force. I quickly realized on the street, it's totally different. I quickly realized like there's a whole new different set of rules and how you police once you get out of the academy. And so I pulled the individual back and I started getting into this verbal confrontation with another officer because I'm like, I don't understand. Like, why are we beating on somebody who's in handcuffs? I didn't learn that in the academy. Like, what is the issue here? And, once I secured them, they started telling me, like, listen, the things you learned in the academy, you need to throw that out the window. You did what you had to do to pass the state mandates. Now, when you get out here, this is how we police. Somebody runs from us, we tune them up. I was like, I never heard of tune up. That's not an academy term. This is what we do on the streets. We have to maintain control of the streets because if we don't, we lose the streets. And how do you lose the streets? How do you lose that? The community has to fear you. So now I started thinking like, wow, okay. I see exactly why I was being treated the way I was treated now growing up, because now I got firsthand front row seat on why they're doing the things that they do. They believe, right, in policing effectively, you have to have a form of intimidation to gain control of the actual community that you're policing. But then I realized something. I said, you're only doing it in these poor communities, predominantly Black communities. You're not doing it in any other community. So why are we so forceful with these communities? Because these are the communities I come from. So my curiosity or understanding of the community, now trying to understand the culture of law enforcement, is now clashing with each other. So it's like, okay, I know I was raised. I know the kind of policing I would want in my community. But now this culture is telling me, no, that's not how you police.
Been killed by Vallejo police, but not one officer has faced any form of discipline. Over the next 3 nights, we'll be looking at what's going on in Vallejo and what it will take to turn the department around. Tonight, we begin with KTVU crime reporter Henry Lee, who examined why some officers involved in multiple and questionable shootings are still on the force.
44, we got shots fired.
19 people were killed by Vallejo police in the past decade, but no officers were ever criminally charged in the cases, all but one of which were shootings.
The troubling part, of course, is that there has been no discipline.
Vallejo, David, 3 shots fired.
The only action taken by the department, training and tactical recommendations. Civil rights attorney John Burris says that's not enough.
Those are relatively minor and do not go to the basic issue of have you evaluated them as to the properness of the shooting itself.
And officers who have fired their weapons are being investigated by their own colleagues, some of whom have also shot people themselves.
They've always been given a pass. There's been no finding that any of these shootings were below or out of policy.
Peter Hoffman is an attorney representing the Vallejo Police Officers Association.
With every use of force, you need to step back and look at them in isolation, right? Because the facts matter and each situation is unique.
Each situation is unique, but the patterns are startling. Officer Sean Kenny shot and killed 3 people in 2012. The DA declined to charge him in each case, and he continued on to become a detective. Kenny, who retired and now runs a training firm, declined to comment to KTVU.
Shots fired, 415 Carolina Street.
Officer Ryan McMahon wasn't charged by the DA for fatally shooting Ronell Foster in 2018. He was only criticized for tactical errors, like not using the police radio to report that he was chasing Foster for a minor reason, riding a bike without a light.
Instead of disciplining him for opening fire without having any legal reason, to discipline him for some safety related issues. So, I mean, it's bizarre. This is the first season that we're actually seeing them even pretend to discipline staff.
But former interim top cop Joe Alio did recommend that Officer McMahon be fired, not for shooting Ronell Foster, but in connection with another deadly shooting just 1 year later.
There's a gun in his lap.
McMahon was one of 6 officers who shot and killed Willie McCoy in a Taco Bell drive-thru. McCoy was asleep in a car with a gun in his lap. Alio said McMahon should be terminated for firing a shot while another officer was about to be in the line of fire.
Welcome back to the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole podcast here on the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole Media Network. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, we've been talking about corrupt Vallejo police. We've been talking about outside prosecutor Michael Ramos. We've been talking about the district attorney Krishna Abrams. We've been talking about badge bending. Hey, we've been talking about the gambit of it all. But coming back, Kori is going to bring us back into, we're going to talk about the whistleblower. We're going to talk about police captain John Whitney and how he fits into this scandal.
Right, cousin. So just to give the people a little background, Captain John Whitney, former SWAT commander, 20-plus year veteran of the Vallejo Police Department. After the murder of our loved one, Willie McCoy, back on February 9th of 2019, John Whitney was bothered. He was bothered by a situation that was taking place with officers within the Vallejo Police Department, and it was a blood oath ritual known as badge bending, where officers would bend a tip, one of the 6 tips in their badge, when they got a kill on a citizen. And this is what took place when Willie was executed. And so Captain Whitney record is clean for a police officer, has never shot anyone, never killed anyone. As far as we know, had never been charged with any misconduct over his 20 years, was in a leadership position. He went to the Captain Budo, Chief Budo, I should say, the chief at the time, and Chief Budo was made aware by Captain Whitney of this badge bending blood oath ritual that was taking place. We talked previously, cousin, the way that it was handled, that it was basically swept under the rug. Captain Whitney was punished for whistleblowing and eventually fired. He now works for another police department. In between time, he has filed a civil suit against the city of Vallejo and their police department. I urge people to do the research. There aren't a lot of people that know how to attain the transcripts of the deposition that Captain Whitney has given in his civil trial. And in his deposition, he speaks about a lot of things connecting the badge bending, speaking on the cover-up from the upper officials, talking about who knew when they knew. And it's revealing of a lot of the corruption that we have been claiming and trying to point out to people for the better part of 2 years, cousin. So I want to kind of let you start pounding back into some of the things that Officer Whitney has been quoted as saying, and where do you, I'll say it again, where is the outrage from the public that we have a police department and a city that have partaken for a couple of decades in covering up a blood oath ritual of citizens being murdered, innocent citizens, at the hands of a ruthless Vallejo police gang known as the Fatal 14, and to be initiated and to maintain a status in this gang, you must participate in the murder of citizens and bend the tip in your badge. It's mind-blowing, cousin.
Man, it's sickening to know that people aren't outraged, like you said. Where's the outrage at? Where's the culpability at? You know, because every new person that they put in, like when Chief Boudreaux resigned and retired, rather, and was given accommodations. See, these people are being promoted for bad behavior. So you got to think about it. In badge bending, these people are being enticed. You have law enforcement officers being enticed to murder someone, to be a part of a fraternal organization within a fraternal organization, if that makes any sense, because the Fatal 14 is the police, right, which is the biggest gang.
Yes.
And, you know, what we're witnessing is the trickle down of the corruption when we witness these officers murdering unarmed men for no reason and taking advantage of citizens in every way. And as far as these people who are turning a blind eye and a deaf ear that are in higher levels of the city government that can have influence on going to hold people, what they do is they call in another person to replace that person to come in and get in front of news cameras and like Shani Wilson and say, hey, well, you know, I've suggested that officers for their wrongdoings be terminated. And I'll continue in the future to do that also in the future, which means that he'll continue in the future to do what? To make a suggestion, because nothing else is going to come of that. All he'll do is make suggestions to pacify the people. And you have people who are fence straddlers, like you mentioned in the last segment, and we were coming in with the fence straddlers, people who come in who are mysteriously attached to the movement, and we don't know where they came from, but what they are is fence straddlers. They're searching for position with these people to keep us pacified for what we want, which is justice.
And you know, cousin, you speak of the fence straddlers. I have a question that I just want to put out there to the business owners of the city of Vallejo, to the residents of the city of Vallejo. Is it more important to you that your city stay out of bankruptcy, or is it more important that at any expense we uncover and bring to light and get justice for the corruption and cover-up of police murder in your city? What's more important? I'm starting to get the feeling that there are some people who are business owners and people who are prominent figures in the city of Vallejo that, okay, you know, our police have been murdering people, but we still want to be able to keep the city out of bankruptcy and to build some new buildings and things like that. And it's just astonishing that people still don't understand. There is nothing more important, nothing on the agenda of your city than your police murdering its citizens. Cousin, I'd like to ask you very quickly, you talk about Special Prosecutor Ramos. Do you believe that he took into consideration and looked at the information about badge bending when he made his decision related to Willie and clearing the 6 officers? Because I think that people are getting caught up in these cases as individual cases when these things are all connected. Willie's case shows where the badge bending occurred, and when you attach it to the badge bending, it's almost like you're opening up Pandora's box. You've got to opening up all these cases from the past. Mario Romero, Angel Ramos, Renell Foster, Nehemiah Strong.
Well,
You've got to open up all these cases.
Cousin, it's deeper than that, because what most people don't understand is that, and throughout the research, and a lot of this done, and you know, we work with Jeff a lot, and this thing goes back 50 years, badge bending, and these type of rituals go back for 50 years that they can even, they tracing it back, and it could be even longer than that.
As well as, cousin, it would behoove me, you must please speak on the family connections over generations within the Vallejo Police Department.
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand, this is not about, you know, what you're asking is for people to take a moral take on this situation. And I mean, morally, we have to say that, you know, that some things are bigger than the money. You know, our families are bigger than the money. You know, our health is bigger than the money. And both of these things are being violated. Our families, our physical being, our health, our finances.
And so, cousin, you know, speaking of the family connections within the Vallejo Police Department, just to give a clear example, Jordan Patzer was one of the 6 officers that took the life of Willie. And people need to understand that when I say family connection, I know that the people on the command staff that were there to look at what happened and figure out should he be in trouble for what he did, these people were police officers in the same department years before Jordan arrived with his uncle and his father. His father, Jamie Patzer, who has 2 kills.
Family.
Yes. Yeah, so one of my point is the chief or the command staff sergeant or lieutenant, is this person going to discipline Jordan Patzer when they were possibly potentially partners or worked every day with his father, Jeremy Patzer, or with his uncle?
He's not gonna, and like, let me answer your question that you asked about Michael Ramos coming in, and did he really do
Consider the badge bending?
Right. Let me explain this to you. I don't believe that he even watched the video of what happened to Willie. And most people will be surprised and say, wait a minute, you mean that he delivered a verdict, delivered not to prosecute these police officers? He made that finding and he never watched the video? Yes, you'd be surprised. That's what they do. There's a lot of people in Congress and who are Senate members that were elected by the city of Vallejo, they haven't even seen the video. And be surprised they don't want you to see it, because people will have another, you know, they would be outraged to know that Willie McCoy was killed and there never was a gun. They said he had one, but we never seen it. They said that Angel Ramos had a knife. We never seen it. We all know that Ronell Foster was defenseless and he was beaten.
As well as we know that there was a prop gun planted on Mario Romero.
Oh yeah, come on, man. Listen, Mario Romero, Anton Barrett, Nehemiah Strong. If we go down the list of these murders and how vicious they were, and I mean, like, if you even look at just Willie's case, the overkill, 55 shots, and you got one running in to shoot one time just so he can get his second band. He's trying to get rank in this gang. And people don't understand that. You think that these kids are running around playing Grand Theft Auto What do you think some of these young kids that are police officers, what are they doing? They're playing Grand Theft Auto from the other end. So,
and you know, what's so tragic, cousin, is that there are officers that police this way in departments and city officials that condone and cover it up all across this country. But what is so tragic is that these officers, they are given the benefit of the doubt of us wanting to believe that they're going to serve us with integrity and honesty, and they're protected and shielded by the police officers' Bill of Rights and by police officers' immunity. And so it's just tragic that we are giving so much trust. Where is the vetting system to having to be a police officer if you are going to be protected but by something so strong that you will never be held accountable when you do something wrong?
Listen, we have to take the police off of a pedestal. Police cannot be living above the law. As a matter of fact, they have to be held to a higher standard of law if they're going to be law. So when you look at
if a police officer violates the law, the penalty should be far more harsher than the average citizen.
Than an average citizen. But you got to look into that, into the premise of that and why that is, because the police is supposed to know the laws, to enforce the laws. Now, if you're going out here and you're violating the law and violating people's civil rights, you should be triple and double charged, because now you're doing this because you're supposed to know what the law is. But see, they let these young kids in and just let them go gung-ho, and that's what happens. They click up into gangs, like the Fatal 14, and now they're out here doing their own, not what the police academy taught them, what they want.
And you know, it's listening to you talk about the badge bending, in my mind, I can visualize Jared Tan wanting to get a bend in his badge, and he was so eager, so he put his two coworkers at risk, shooting that AR-15 from the back seat through the front windshield to murder Sean Monterosa, a young man on his knees with his hands above his head.
Yeah, and to tell him, don't worry about it, it's going to be okay. You know, we've been through this before.
That was Officer Tan's fifth person that he had shot.
Yeah, and you know, it's sad.
And well, cousin, if I could just
wait a minute, because it's sad that we have this evidence in front of us, and we're not outraged like you said.
Well, and I just wanted to point out about Jared Tan, that Sean Monterosa would have been his first bend of a tip in his badge, because his previous 3 people that he had shot had all lived.
Yeah, and you know what? We were just talking about the terrible decision delivered by Michael Ramos, the outside appointed district attorney, who came in and gave a ruthless ruling in the face of the people, knowing that it was cold-blood murder on that videotape, and we all seen it with our own eyes. And he sat in the face of the people and lied and said that he seen no wrongdoing. I couldn't live with myself after rendering the decision, knowing that the truth was right in front of the eyes of all of the people, and they knew that I was a damn liar. And you, the people, have got to come to your senses and understand that you have a civic duty to shine a light on bullshit. And we are going to shine a spotlight on the bullshit being perpetrated from the higher ups, because the bullshit trickles down.
Yes, it does.
Waterfall.
Yes, it does, cousin. And you know, cousin,
camel's ass.
you know, cousin, I want to get your take on this really quick before we jump back into it. Michael Ramos, I did some video of him speaking currently just recently to a news reporter, and is it me, or when you look into the eyes of Michael Ramos, does he not look like he is under the influence of some sort of controlled substance?
He is under the influence of the devil. And when I tell you this, it's only because just look at his picture and then set it next to the picture of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. They could be twins. And this guy just witnessed a ritualistic murder and just got up in front of the people and act like he had seen nothing. Now that's a crock of shit, cousin. You know, you gotta have you can't have a conscience, no heart. You know, I mean, you gotta have the character to step on an old lady's face to watch.
And you know, cousin, you talk about conscience and heart, and I think to do this work as district attorney, and you know, they talk about garnering the public's trust. You know, I have one word for you, cuz where is their integrity? As you just spoke to, how do you go home and sit at the dinner table with your wife and kids, or your husband and kids, and you're looking them in the eye, trying to teach them what it is to be a good person in life, and knowing that you have participated and continue to participate in violating people's civil and constitutional rights on a regular basis. It's just sickening.
Murder. They're killing people, going and love their family, going to Disneyland and spending money, blood money made by I guess torturing people, is torturing and murdering people, because that's what it amounts to. It amounts to pulling someone over, tightening the handcuffs real tight, stun tasing them, beating them with flash. Things we've seen in the Ronell Foster case, the shootings of unarmed black and brown men like Sean and Ames Ramos, and this goes on. The beating of Adrian Burrell and just pulled over and whipped out on with guns of Michael Walton. I mean, what's next? What's next? What can we expect next from policing in California? Or around the world for that matter? Because listen, if the president is a piece of shit that you're impeaching and he's inciting riots, what do you think the police officers are doing? Who are
and I think that what people have to acknowledge as well, Dizzle, is that our society, our country, with the laws that they have created, they have given police officers a free rein to do anything and everything they deem as being necessary in the line of duty. When you do that, you're telling the public that literally every officer that you hire in every station across this country, sheriffs and all the different inner city police departments, that you're trying to tell the public that all these people's character and integrity is above reproach, that we can give them qualified immunity. We can have rules for them in the police officers' Bill of Rights, because these people that we're hiring as police officers, their credibility and their decision-making and their judgment is impeccable. But that's not what we have, cousin. We have people being hired, becoming police officers that are coming from white supremacist organizations, and they're infiltrating police departments all across this country. And now they're being protected to carry out their agenda, but they're being protected with the laws that protect police.
Well, I'm glad you got to that, because that's hitting right on the systemic racism that we talk about, which is which is the powder keg, man, that's causing all of this reaction and everything. It's the racism, and you got to think about it. Policing is directly connected to slave catching. You know, when you're driving down the street and you're being stopped and frisked, okay, that's the equivalent of a slave being pulled over and saying, "Where's your traveling pass? Do you got license or registration? Are you on parole or probation? Do you got drugs or do you have any weapons or narcotics in the vehicle?" Is it okay if I search your vehicle? No, you can't search my vehicle. Well, you said no, I couldn't search your vehicle, but now I have probable cause to search your vehicle because I smell weed.
Mm-hmm.
And weed is a legal thing. But
and cousin, that is a great point, because in many of these situations where loved ones have been murdered at the hands of police, when you really delve into what happened in these specific cases, after you get past the initial taking the police word for it, and you really delve into these things, you'll find that the police in most of these cases are responsible for creating the circumstances. Through their actions and decisions, they create the circumstances that they'll then try to turn around and use to justify murdering a loved one.
Well, I want to get to the fact that police always use the excuse that they murdered someone because they fear for their life. Well, I'm here to tell you that in 99.5% of the cases, these unarmed Black and brown men are being murdered because they did not follow a police's orders because the police was ordering them to do something that was unconstitutional. Like, give me your driver's license. What for? I haven't committed a crime. Can you tell me what crime I've committed? They don't want to answer you that because I don't have to tell you anything. I'm the police officer. I'm telling you what to do. See, they have a authority problem. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Authority figures know how to handle things diplomatically. But when you're a police officer and you're wielding authority, it's like a power that these officers, a lot of the time, they're 20, 25, 30 years old, young men full of testosterone, and they're on the force, and they're exercising that authority that they've never had before, and they're drunk with power. And that's what's happening. You have a lot of officers out here drunk with power, riding up on some people that just have had enough.
Right. And cousin, you spoke a moment ago on police simply having to claim that they were in fear for their life, and that gives them pretty much autonomy to take a life. We spoke earlier on Angel Ramos, one of the lost sons of Vallejo, and I think it's important to point out in his case, you had several officers on the scene that night. Okay, we're talking close to a dozen officers on the scene that night. What I find very interesting, of all these officers, only one officer, Zach Jacobson, was in fear of his life, as he was the only officer that decided to disarm his weapon. And so I believe his claim, he actually was not in fear of his life, but he thought mistakenly that Angel had a knife in his hand and was stabbing another person as they were in an altercation. But he's the only officer on scene that saw this knife that was not there. After the fact, we know that there was no knife involved.
Right.
But I guess it's fascinating that an officer, all they have to claim is that they were in fear of their life or they were in fear for another person's life, and they basically can do what they want to do.
Hey, it's the same thing. No knife. They write their narrative in these reports. They're taught how to write a false report is a part of their training, and how to protect themselves on paper. And so we the people, if we want to get to the truth, we're going to have to start putting the real transparency. Hey, look, you don't get to go home and wait for them to come talk to you. You're going to be treated like a suspect on the scene, and you're going to be questioned, and there's going to be evidence taken. But most of the things in Vallejo are evidence destroying, evidence tampering, badge bending, just a lot of stuff. Hey, letting people are not supposed to see evidence in the case, viewing.
And you're right now, you're just speaking on just police things. You're not even touching on the follow the money in the city government aspect of this whole thing.
Right. And when you get down to that, they're trying to spend $30 million on a police station. Okay. And they owe probably about $80 million in lawsuits. for killing people, unarmed Black and brown people in Vallejo, and you want to build a police station and put Hawaii 5-0 flowers in front of a police station thinking that more money is going to stop the killings. That's not going to stop the killings, because these people aren't killing people because they're broke. They're killing people because they have a mental issue that's being contributed to by the system of policing in Vallejo. Whoever
Great.
is
Great point, cousin. Cousin, can I get you to speak to what we commonly refer to as the fence straddlers when it comes to the city of Vallejo policing? Because, I notice, I continue to see on social media and such, citizens of Vallejo, people that we're familiar with, they seem to have no issues with continuing to post them and others interacting with the former mayor, Sampayan, and others who we know were complicit in covering up the murders of our loved ones.
That is true. So listen, we're going to have to get back to that, cousin. But for right now, why don't you tell the people about our event, February 19th, in remembrance of Willie McCoy and the tragedy.
So February 9th, 2021 will be the 2-year anniversary of Willie's execution. We will be converging in Sacramento at the state capitol at noon, 12 o'clock noon, with many of the local impacted Vallejo families, families from Northern California, families from Southern California, and families from other states also coming in to give a presence, and we're going to allow everyone to come and speak on your loved one, speak on some of these issues that we have within our communities. I just want to give a special thanks really fast to a few people for helping us to make this event happen. Of the local impacted Vallejo families, families from Northern California, families from Southern California, and families from other states also come and speak on your loved one. I just want to give a special thanks really fast to a few people for helping us to make this event happen. On February 9th, Beatrice Simpson, the mother of Richard Rice, the mother of Tamir Rice. I want to just thank them, as well as the other impacted families, Sons of Vallejo, and the community groups that are really helping this thing happen in a very short time.
Yeah, and one more thing I'd like to ask everyone that comes out, please, this is a nonviolent gathering, and we want to protect ourselves. We want to social distance, and we want to be prepared, and we want to protect ourselves and others by wearing our masks. And we want to leave you with, we love you all on purpose. And this has been another segment of the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole podcast here on the Secrets of the Rabbit Hole Media Network. And if you'd like to leave a donation, drop that at the WillieMcCoyFoundation.com. Or you could just leave us an inbox or an email at truth@thesecretsoftherabbithole podcast. We're out of here.
You see time and time again, you're like, wow, Officer Pantaleo, how does he have so many previous violations of policy, but he still kept the job? So now I'm seeing exactly how. You got a PVA president like Pat Lynch, don't understand is his body, the body of the union, supposed to have been labor-related, raises, retirements, pensions. They took the position as defense attorneys. Everybody, every member is now one of us, and we need to protect them at all costs.
To the double helix in the logo, and on top of the press ons, the ball goes like a mix between the Machiavelli and the Migos. Like Steph Curry, I miss no threes or no free throws.
Everybody, every member is now one of us, and we need to protect them at all costs.
I can't do is change the past, but what we can do is improve. And so one of the things that we are doing as a police department is improving our processes, the organizational structure, our training, We're going to continue to do that.
The chief has agreed to a top-to-bottom review of the department's policies by the state attorney general's office, but so far neither the AG nor the DA have agreed to review the Sean Monterosa shooting for possible criminal charges. Henry Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
But thank you all for viewing and tapping in with us, with me and my cousin. If you would like to leave a donation, you can drop that at the Willie McCoys Foundation.com, or you can leave us an email at truth@thesecretsoftherabbithole.com. Thank you for tuning in.
Killed by Vallejo police, but not one officer has faced any form of discipline.
The motherfuckers that are actually doing the triggering. So what you want to do is show this and make it be known that, hey, this whole thing is corruption. See, power, complete power, total power equals total corruption. And the motherfuckers that have all the power are the ones that do the corrupting. They make the laws, they break the laws, and then what they do is hold other motherfuckers accountable for the laws that they're breaking. But in other words, it's that don't do as I do, do as I say.